What's up, boys? Or should I say One Piece cracks? Welcome to this new video, because One Piece chapter 11-12 is just around the corner, and there's information that hints to me that it could be a very nice chapter, so definitely stay tuned until the end to not miss anything. Also, feel free to leave a like, and subscribe to not miss any One Piece content in the future. I thank everyone who is active here. Thank you very much, my dear friends. It's not long until the spoilers are released. There are already hints and leaks from certain sovereign types who always write the spoilers, which don't always accurately depict what will happen, but we have something to speculate about. And I think some are already relatively clear, so let's get started with the most recent one. There was a GIF posted here with "You are out of luck" written on it. It could mean anything, of course, and I think it's referring to Luffy here because up until now, Luffy has received a lot of plot armor, you just have to admit it. Or the Straw Hats have always somehow managed to win or escape, and now it seems to say out of luck, so I think it refers to the Straw Hats, and therefore we can also assume that in this chapter, it will be made clear again what a power difference there is between Luffy and the Straw Hats, and then again, between the Gorosei. And this chapter will make us realize, damn, Luffy now really has a huge problem. And by a big problem, I don't just mean that a Glock 18 will be enough, but that at least a Desert Eagle will have to be used. I don't think anything will be resolved in this chapter, because the chapter where it's made clear what needs to be resolved is that, but it will be made clear that now Luffy is really in trouble. And it goes on, because I find that the most exciting of all is what Rayyl, one of the most famous and sovereign spoilers here, has given us. And that is a shadowy figure. I don't know if it's from the movie or the game, but you can see clouds around the guy, so it already looks very similar to an awakened character. And I find that because such shadows are there, and this figure is also black, so this shadow figure, I somehow had to immediately think of Blackbeard. It could very well be that it's meant to be Blackbeard, because it's very noticeable that this is a shadow figure or supposed to reflect darkness, and of course Blackbeard is the only option here, but since it also looks like an awakened user with the flames and the clouds in the background, it could also be indicating just an awakening, but why should Rayyl be indicating an awakening now? We've already seen all the ones who are there basically. We've seen Luffy's awakening from the Gorosei, so whose awakening is going to show up? Now that should surprise us so much. Therefore Blackbeard would be the most logical here. Another option I have, but it's very far-fetched, namely that Luffy loses control or gets a new Gear 5 form. He has to somehow keep up with the Gorosei. And what would happen if Luffy now goes berserk and somehow his white flames turn into black flames? Because this figure also resembles more Luffy than Blackbeard, even with the clouds. But you can't really know, it would be very far-fetched. But it seems like Rayyl is hinting at a new awakening here or a new form. So it must either be Blackbeard or an opponent whose awakening or this form we haven't seen yet. And that could be extremely exciting. Maybe Luffy becomes a full gangster and tries to put his Glock 18 out, and then trying to shoot down the Gorosei. This is also a really good theory. I'm also curious to see if Sanji will possibly do something, and as a true Sanji fanboy, I just have to hope that his true potential will come to light. Because we saw in the previous chapters that he was able to block Kizaru's laser beam, among other things, just like that. But as a Sanji fan, you have it hard enough anyway, and you should be satisfied and happy with every Sanji victory. I also believe that Sanji will fight another admiral and come out victorious, but that's just a pipe dream for now. I'm really looking forward to it. It could of course also be another option in the summer because it has also always been shown with darkness. And it also fits very well because the Gorosei are currently being extremely thematized. Which is of course absolutely justified, as we have been theorizing for decades about exactly what the Gorosei can do and how strong they will be. I remember when people actually thought that Jupiter was Sanji's father, and there were a lot of theories about that. It would also be quite logical if we now just see what Imu-sama is currently doing and thinking about, because we haven't seen or heard his or her opinion about it yet, or whether it strains their powers, what they intend to do, because they, or he or she, has also probably received this message from Vegapunk. So what will Imu-sama do, as if this figure will just watch and do nothing? So it could very well be that Rayyl is telling us here, hey, look, we will see Imu-sama very briefly, and what this person thinks about this whole spectacle here on Egghead Island. And even though that seems very logical, I just don't understand certain spoiler leaks or hints from Rayyl. Let's take a look at this. It's a squirrel stuffing a lot of food into its mouth. And for me, that could only mean a Luffy using some ability or maybe eating to replenish energy. Which would be weird because we've already experienced that once in this arc, that Luffy replenishes energy by eating, and it would just not be logical for him to do that again. It could also simply be a certain attack by Luffy that hints at him taking something and then changing. But I think this is definitely referring to Luffy here, because another character would just not behave like that on Egghead Island. I think this is a hint. It's a bit unimportant, but it's still a scene from the chapter described. Then Rayyl also posted a GIF, where you can see Peter from Family Guy, and he says, "Damn, this is way too hard." And Peter here is failing this test. And that could, in my opinion, again be two hints, or it could be two meanings that Rayyl wants to convey here. Namely, on the one hand, that's Luffy's reaction, for example, or that's describing how strong the Gorosei are and what power they show in this chapter. Or Rayyl just wants to give us these spoilers, or these, let's say, hints. I don't know how to phrase it. So that he simply reflects his personal opinion, but he very, very rarely does that. So I think this is really related to the chapter. And he wants to clarify that some characters are desperate and realize, okay, I can't win this fight. It could be anything. It could be a Zoro encountering a Gorosei. A quick question in between. Do you think Zoro would have a good chance against one of the 5 elders? We haven't seen everything from Zoro yet, even after all these years, but he could pretty much beat Rob Lucci with a combo. I think the heaviest of Zoro is yet to come and will probably bring all of Zoro's success fans back to life. The last few weeks before the last chapter now, it's always been a back and forth. Most people said that Zoro had become incredibly weak. Then it was said again that Zoro was the GOAT. Then when he wrestled Rob Lucci, he was the loser again, and it felt like it went on forever. But besides that, it could also be a Luffy with the giants realizing, oh damn, this is way too hard. So Rayyl gives us a clear indication here of what will roughly happen in this chapter. Finally, we have another hint, and that's a gif of the Rock shouting, "Let's go." I don't think that's supposed to be a special hint. It's just supposed to clarify that the chapter will be a special and a good chapter. But let's be honest, we're used to that in One Piece by now since Gear 5 back then in Wano Kuni. Every chapter feels like a banger, and One Piece just doesn't get boring, so respect to Oda for what he's putting together here. And he took these 3 weeks break to probably think about how to continue planning the next arc. Many think he's gotten sick or has some problems. No, otherwise it would have been addressed over the 3 weeks. Or luckily, things are going very well. At least from what the public currently knows. And he probably used this time to plan Elbaf because after every arc, he takes a little break to plan the introduction of the arc more precisely. And yes, that's actually it from the One Piece spoilers. I hope you liked it, boys. Otherwise, we just have to wait for the real chapter. Take care of you, and we'll see each other in the next video.